Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk to Shashank again, and our topic for today is MLMs, or multi-level marketing, companies and things like that. So, Shashank, let me start with the basics, right? So, what is an MLM? Okay, are they similar to pyramid or Ponzi schemes?
Hey, Agnel, good to talk to you again. To start off, MLM is a multi-level marketing system. Let's not call it a scheme for now, right? Just multi-level marketing, and they are focused mainly on selling a goods or a service. And the way it's done is by recruiting people to sell the same service or good on your behalf. So rather than just one person selling it, you try recruiting people and they recruit more people to sell the product. So you by yourself are not selling it, but you're getting other people involved to sell it as well. So that is what multi-level marketing is. Is it a Ponzi? Is it not a Ponzi? Well, it's a little more of a gray area over there because there are things which very much feel like a Ponzi scheme, but the things which might not. But the way it's been treated and the way it's been handled today, it is more of a Ponzi scheme in that aspect.
Interesting. Okay. So then why do MLMs even exist, Shashank?
That's a good question, right? And that's where the nuance comes in, and think why is there the difference between Ponzi and versus MLM? Ponzi is run by one person trying to offer better benefits over time and creating this bubble which then explodes. Versus in a multi-level marketing scheme or a multi-level marketing strategy, what happens is you have one person trying to recruit a bunch of people to sell the same product, and that group of people again recruit more people to sell it. And what you get eventually is exponential reach and growth. And that's great from a marketing strategy point of view. And that's why multi-level marketing strategies exist.
Can you dig a little deeper into the business model, please?
Yeah, that sounds good, right? So basically the way it works is what happens is if I start a multi-level marketing strategy, I will try getting my friends involved to sell a product. So let's say if I'm trying to sell a phone, I'm trying to sell the phone by myself. But then once I can reach X number of people given how many hours in the day there is. Now, if I'm able to recruit 10 of my friends to sell the same thing, so then it's a power of 11 trying to sell it in the same 1 hour time span. And now if they recruit their 10 friends each, it is an exponential growth. And that is why MLMs exist. So it's all about the recruitment, and you try recruiting more and more people to sell it on your behalf. So that is one part of it. But why would somebody recruit on your behalf? Like, what is there in it for them? So for that, you basically kickbacks. So for every time you sell a product, the person who recruited you gets a small cut of it. And now it just does not stop at one level. The person who recruited the person who initially sold the product, they get a kickback, and so on and so forth, and it moves up the chain. So that is what is associated with making money in an MLM. The last thing of MLMs is because recruiting is such a core thing, it's all about promises of riches. So the first few folks who basically are trying to recruit are some of the people down the line that try to recruit. You're like, hey, this person X made a lot of money because they were part of the program. They just don't tell you how they made the money, but just they made the money. But that is what it is about. And that's how people make money in an MLM scheme or a strategy.
So to me, right, so when I look at these MLM people, right, it almost seems like they're putting more effort into recruitment of people than actually selling a product. Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Because most likely the products which are being sold are not the greatest of products, right? And if you need to give a kickback to everybody in the chain, the cut you need to give the people involved will grow as the pyramid continues growing. And now, because of that, you start your marketing budget allocated for the cost starts increasing. So if you need to still make your margins on the product, your products had to get expensive, and hence the need for selling a substandard product and increasing the cut going into people in the pyramids structure creates an emphasis on recruitment rather than actually the quality of the product.
So is there money in this, Shashank?
There's basically money for the first few people and not more. So here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen and heard about multi-level marketing strategies and schemes and pyramid schemes. So what are the products which are usually sold? Can you give me some examples of that?
Oh man, so I have like a very short, simple answer for something like this, Shashank. I was actually taking some notes down here. So first thing is, I've seen them sell three different things. One is products. So, your Amways, your Herbalifes, and, companies like that. So I think that there's products, there's services. I don't know if you've experienced it. We can talk about that a little more in detail later, but e-Biz was something that I had experienced maybe about 15 years back, where they were trying to sell a service of like computer education or something like that. And I think the third interesting one was crypto that was there and is also, I think, pretty prevalent now, though some would agree that crypto is probably a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme. I don't know. It depends. But then, I think examples of that are Bitconnect, and more recently there was a Squid Coin or something like that that kind of rode on the coattails of Squid Games being so famous. So I think these are the three that I've seen, Shashank, and So I would say these, at least this is at a high level.
Yeah, I kind of agree with your categorization. I think those are the three things: products, services, and crypto services or products as well. Yeah. So we spoke about the products. We have spoken about what a multi-level marketing strategy is. Have you experienced it, and what are your personal experiences or personal run-ins with multi-level marketing strategies?
I think I'm one of the most experienced people on MLMs, Shashank. I think I've been approached by multiple people, right? So I think let's start with Amway. I've had someone who I used to play soccer with. He's approached me. I've had friends of friends approach me. I've had friends approach me. I've had people approach me on Facebook. I've had people approach me on LinkedIn. So it's all the way to there. And they have, it's a template. We can probably talk about that a little later, but it's a template where they start off with a certain set of things and you just kind of know where it's going. The second that I've experienced is e-Biz, where this person was like, you can learn about computers and you can improve your communication. So you just join us and pay this fee and you can do this. The third I experienced was Oriflame. Oriflame was this beauty product kind of thing where they say, it's almost like starting your own business. So you have the supplier who will sell you something, and then you have to just go out there and sell people all these beauty products. And by the way, you can also recruit other people to sell for you. That was the sell there. And I think the last that I've experienced was Qnet or Qnet, where they gave you a gold coin, which eventually turned out to be fake after a lot of complaints to the police and stuff like that. And then they had the super cool pen, according to them, where it had this UV light thing where you just had to point it at a glass and it would kill all the germs. And it was pretty dramatic. The way they would sell this was they would take a glass of water, from a tap, and they would put this pen light onto it, and then they would drink it in front of us, saying it's entirely safe. And we'd be like, wow, I mean, that's what we're supposed to say. So these are my experiences, but I want to know whether you've had any experiences as something like this, Shashank.
I've had two specific run-ins with these. First was e-Biz, back in like 2005 or 2006. It was a funny one. A friend of mine told me he wanted me to meet someone to help them with a business proposal. So I was like, okay, sure, let me help you out, and go in and have this discussion. And then this other guy came who I apparently knew because we studied a course somewhere together. But long story short, they were trying to tell me that they're going to sell this course to me and ask me to also sell this course to other people. regarding computers. And the thing was, they basically try to teach people basic computer skills, like how to type on the computer and how to browse the internet. And I was like, you do realize you're talking to a guy who is majoring in computer science, in developing software. Like, there's something does not add up. You need to really understand your target audience. Anyways, so that was interesting. That was weird, because they created this weird persona about themselves. They're like, oh, in 3 years you can buy yourself a Ferrari. No, that doesn't work. There are these promises of ultimate riches, but very loose details. They had this weird code in which they would talk. Yeah, it was just weird. So that was the first one. That was very off-putting. At least I found it extremely off-putting as just the tactical approaching. Then in 2009, when I first came to the US, I was randomly at this shop trying to buy a slice of pizza in New York, and this really good-looking girl approaches me, starts talking to me. I'm in my early 20s, and I'm like, yeah, good-looking girl talking to me, for sure I'm going to engage. And then we exchange numbers, and the next thing I know is that she's like, hey, can you meet me at this place, which is like a conference, like a event space or conference hall somewhere near JFK airport. And I was like, what? Like, who goes there and why? And then, like, I'll explain to you, just come here. And that's when I realized something was off. And when I really started questioning, I'm like, yo, are you asking for a coffee? Or what is this? And that is when I found out she's trying to sell a product. I was like, thank you very much. Not interested. Yeah, those were basically my two run-ins with MLMs. Both weird, interesting. Makes for a good story.
Yeah, definitely, Shashank. So, but here's the thing, right? So, you've been approached a few times. I've been approached, I don't know, maybe 100 times. We haven't fallen for it, but there are still people who fall for it. So, it looks like there are people who are vulnerable to this. And can you explain the psyche, or the who is behind this vulnerability, Shashank?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? The whole idea is identifying your target audience who are vulnerable enough to like fall for this, and I categorize them in 4 specific categories. One is people who need to make enough money for the retirement, and they realize it's too late, that they're not saved enough, so they need to get rich quickly, otherwise their retirement is going to be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
The second one is people who are in the lower income bracket and want to move up the socioeconomic tier. Right. The third category are immigrants, because they're new to the country. They need to get some money moving quickly, because they're just setting up their own foundation. And the last is college students who are basically broke most of the time. Like for me, the 2 times I got approached was when I was in college. Like I've had other people who reached out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn, but it's too easy to ignore. But when you have people who are in your face trying to sell it to you hard, that was when I was in college. So yeah, I think those are the 4 main categories where I think, or 4 categories where people get really are vulnerable. So I have a question for you on this, right? What are because you've been approached a lot more. What kind of patterns have you seen as part of them approaching?
I've seen a few. I think it's 2 at a very high level, right? So one is it plays to your emotion. The second is they sell you this get rich quick idea in your head, right? It's very similar to what you said. And I think they have like a few talking points which are almost like templates for them. One is you can be your own boss. 2 is you can work your own hours, right? You can work only in your free time. Then the other thing that I've heard a lot is this business model makes the best of Amazon and Facebook. Of course, there's a lot of money and there are a lot of flashy examples. So they'll show you, they'll talk about this guy who's coming in, like you said, in a Ferrari, or they'll have pictures of videos of this this lady who owns a mansion and stuff like that. And the last and my favorite is we can give you all the details, just come for a seminar, right? So I think these are kind of things that I've seen. But here's the thing, Shashank, what are your thoughts on what's the best strategy to avoid something like this?
So I'm going to take a thing out of a statement out of Republican politics. I'm a hardcore Democrat, but Ronald Reagan in the 80s started this campaign called "Just Say No to Drugs." My answer is the same. Just say no. Whatever they throw at you, instead of saying yes to in the most basic of requests, like come meet us here or hear me out. The moment you identify this, that they're trying to recruit you to sell stuff and recruit other people, just say no. Like, don't listen to them, nothing. Just say no. It can be people from a random stranger, just say no. It could be a friend, a close friend also. You listen to what they have to say till the moment you realize it's a multi-level marketing scheme. And now I'm using the word scheme because I've explained why it's no longer a strategy and now it's a scheme. You say no. Like, it might be annoying, it might create friction in that relationship, but that is required. So yeah, that's my theory. What about you? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, yours is much simpler than mine, Shashank. So I think I completely agree with your just say no. For me, I think what I do is I definitely say no. I had written a blog like 7 or 8 years back. So when someone random approaches me, I just send them a link to that blog saying, hey, I like to write a lot. What do you think of this blog, right? So whenever I've done that, people have started to block me. So they'll send me a message. I send them saying, hey, I'm really interested in your business proposal. By the way, I love writing. Do you think I could write for your blog? And I send them my blog, right? I can write for your business, and I send them my blog. And immediately after that, I get blocked. Right, so that's one. Maybe people can actually share this video, right? Saying in a similar way, saying, "Hey, what do you think of this video?" But I think the other real quick thing I would say is, for some people, it gets a little tricky. Like who are probably not very strong personalities, or there's something. So for some reason you cannot directly say no. Like I think you and I could, and I think everyone should. But for those who cannot say no, I think my very simple advice is, do you want the money or do you want the relationship? If you want the relationship, unfortunately, if it's so important, then maybe you have to let go of that few $100 sitting in your account. But if you want the money, then you have to say no. And if you have to lose a toxic relationship where you cannot say no, then maybe you have to lose that relationship. So I think that's my advice, in addition to what you say, but I still think your just say no is way more impactful than what I have to say. But on that, Shashank, any closing thoughts? Because I think we've discussed a lot of this. So any final, summarized closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think MLM as a theory sounds great, but it's just nasty how it is. When you get into the details, you realize how nasty it is and how toxic it is. I think the right word, you use the right word and you call it toxic, because it is toxic, right? And it actually creates frictions and barriers with relationships and a whole lot of other things. People with stronger personalities can say no. Like, everybody knows me, how I can get aggressive at times. So saying no for me is a lot more easier. But I agree, there are a lot more people who prefer not to be as blunt. And for them, it's a lot more trickier. And those are the people who should figure out a more tactical way of handling this. Because I think no amount of love and care for the other person deserves someone to go through an MLM strategy scheme. It is just frustrating. At least that's my last thoughts.
Yeah, no, Totally agree, Shashank. I think this is great. So I promise to keep this short. So I just want to say thanks a lot. One, for your time, and two, for putting in the effort with this research and kind of coming up with all the points and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that, Shashank, and I hope our listeners or viewers also appreciate it.
For sure.